Hi everyone, you are now tuning in to another episode of Vonti Talks with Filmmakers podcast. Our special guest is Director of Photography, Kate Phelan. We hope you enjoy part one of this two-part discussion. Thank you for joining us today. Hi everyone, we are back with another episode of Conversations with Filmmakers. And I know I say it every episode and we are getting deep in there, but I am excited to have Kate Phelan here today with us. You have worked on a slew of content, so I'm looking forward to you breaking it down. This woman has worked on like Brittany Runs a Marathon, which was a hysterical film, Orange is the New Black, Ted 2, Girl Fight, Sunshine State, and so much more. Can you tell the audience what are some positions you've held and how long you've been in the industry?
I started in the early 90s. I came to New York, convinced I wanted to work on movies and TV. And I was a PA. I was hired for a PA I managed to stay employed for one day. I did. I decided that I liked the grip department much more. So I was like, get me out of, I was driving a van. It was terrible. So I was a grip for about 6 months before I became an electrician. So I started.
Was that in New York?
Yes, that was in New York. Yes. My first job was a karaoke music video shooting out on the beach. And it was ridiculous. And I became an electrician, and then I gaffed for many years. I gaffed for about 6 years. And then I became a DP, and I've been a cinematographer for about 20 years. Wow. And I started directing about 7 years ago.
Wow, that is amazing, Kate.
Yeah.
And
so it's been an interesting kind of path.
Since the 90s, you guys, listen. And I love that you were realistic as well to say, PA wasn't for me. For one day, you were just like, listen, get me over to what I really want to do on this side. For the audience, break down, because I know, we always do abbreviations. We're like, oh, a DP and a this and a that. Break down what those positions mean. Like for a gaffer, and like a DP and all that, what would you do on set?
So when I started, I found, we were doing a job on the beach, and the grips were setting flags and laying track and doing camera support and some lighting control. And that really interested me. I didn't really have a lot of experience. I wasn't like a particularly handy person, but I found like what they were doing was a lot more interesting than standing next to a camera or running talent or doing any of that stuff. So that's kind of what the grip department does. And in fact, I spent enough time in the grip department to know I did not want to rig. I did not want to build sets. I did not want to, there was a lot to learn, and I felt like, okay, well, maybe I'll stick with the electric department. So, and the electric department is just what it sounds. You run power for anybody who needs it on set. So hair, makeup, wardrobe, or crafty, or whoever, but your main objective is to run lighting for for whatever you're shooting. So sometimes those crews are small and it's you and maybe one other person, but when I was starting, most of those crews I started on were quite large. I would be one of 4 at the minimum, sometimes 6 or 10 people at a time. And then I sort of worked my way up in the electric department, became a best boy, which is just like the number 2 electrician. And then I started gapping. So it's working with the cameraman and being the head of the lighting department. And working with your co-head in the grip department and helping the director of photography realize their plan for what they want things to look like.
Wow, that's amazing. And that sounds like, no, it's really interesting because you followed your passion, really. You figured it out pretty early by learning pretty much every position that, like what was leading up to where you ended up at, so that's a really great thing for the audience to understand. Like, you have to learn the trade, right? And it's not, I think me and you had spoken the other day about how it hasn't always been so easy for women to be able to do that on these sets.
Yes,
And
100%.
mhm,
And I had an early experience where I worked with a woman who was a cameraman or a DP,
mhm.
and I noticed that she was very reluctant to light anything. Like she would just wait for him to sort of tell her what to do, and I was so um, put off by that I made the decision to work in the lighting department until I felt like I mastered it. And so I spent 11 years doing that. And
Wow.
I never wanted to be in a position where I was sitting behind the camera and I did not know how I wanted things to look and how to do it. So that was really important to me, and it was a skill that I'm glad I learned, and it's a skill I take with me now. I mean, even now directing, I think about lighting probably first, actually, before I think about anything else.
I love that though. It's
Yeah,
like, let
yeah.
me tell you guys, if you see Kate coming on set, she's coming in as a boss woman. Okay. She's like, get out of my way. I know what I'm doing. Please don't ask me any silly questions. It's been since the 90s, baby. It is now.
Well, also like there, in New York at that time, there are all these music videos, right? So you would
Mhm.
get to work with I came to New York wanting to work. I loved music, and being in New York at that time, there was amazing low budget features, incredible directors working, and tons of music videos. So I did a lot of them, and they're most of them were really, really fun.
That's really great. And let me ask you, was there any mentors that you had back then that you can speak to that kind of like helped you move the needle along?
Well, I did meet a woman when I first came to New York, who was a grip, actually. Her name is Lois Thompson,
Mhm.
and she was the first Black woman in the union. And
Wow.
she got in as a grip she got in on Malcolm X, maybe. And
Wow.
oh my gosh, she was so tough. She was the most, anytime I would feel like, I remember lifting a grid with her. We were lifting steel pipe. I was on a ladder and lifting steel pipe with her. And I remember thinking, this is so, this is like, how am I going to lift? This is so fucking heavy. And Lois is there, just not bothered, just puts it right up. And I'm like, I will be damned if she's going to see me like a sissy. Like, I, not even just like I have to be tough. She's so tough. I'm going to be
Mhm.
tough too. And it was amazing to see someone who is, she's amazing. I wish she had an injury and became a camera operator and had her own path. So I
Mhm.
don't see her much, but man, she really was very inspiring. She didn't take any guff from anybody, and was and is so talented. Like there
Mhm.
was no her talent and her drive were so undeniable that there was
Mhm.
no way anyone was not letting her in the door. She was incredible. She was incredible.
I love that, guys, because listen, mentoring is so important. So, Lois, if
Yeah.
you are listening,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
help to inspire Kate to lift the hell out of that
Oh
pipe
yeah.
and just
Oh man,
like,
I lift that. I did. I was like, all right, at least Lois isn't going to see my arm shake. Yeah.
well, I mean, the reality is, in this industry, a lot of times the crew can be very male heavy, right?
Yes.
So seeing women come in, it's kind of like you do have to prove your worth.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that you are speaking to that. It's like,
Yeah.
listen, we had to make sure we were
Yeah.
showing ourselves as
Yeah,
badasses.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
do not think.
100%. 100%. And when I was an electrician, there was a group of six of us that
Wow.
were that traveled, did a lot of the same jobs, hired each other, and
Hmm.
also, there's safety in numbers. There were six women who all did the job well.
Hmm.
Kira Kelly, Nicole Correa, Margot Kingen, Christy Tully. It's like these were amazingly talented women, and you know, Kira Kelly's in the ASC now. Like she made it happen, and
Oh, I
it's
love that.
they all. I think that the fact that there were a couple of us really, I mean, it certainly helped me feel like I wasn't carrying it all myself all the time.
I love that. I
Yeah,
definitely love that. And that's very important as well. And just to pivot real quickly though, like
sure.
what is a genre of content that you love to develop? You know?
Well, I mean,
You've
so
done so much.
yeah, I mean, So there's kind of two parts to my career, really. There's
Mm-hmm.
there's the crew side where I've worked for other people,
Mm-hmm.
and that's been operating and gaffing and sort of helping other people realize their goals. And then there's sort of my director DP brain, and a lot of that commercially has been shooting promos, and I it's a very sort of specific world where I have a number of friends who are on the creative network side who I collaborate with a lot, and those jobs are so fun. And the people who I've not everybody's great, but the people who are great are exceptionally wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because there's no product, you're able to make things. We did a promo. My friend Brian Hoffman and I did a promo for Tracy Morgan at TBS,
Nice.
and it was just an incredibly creative experience figuring out how we were going to make this thing. And then when we pitched it to Tracy, he was so excited and did an amazing job with it, and it was just really, really fulfilling. And then with that, on that creative side, I direct a lot of shorts. I've directed a couple pilots, and
Mm-hmm.
so I love narrative storytelling, and so that's been really fulfilling too. I directed a this web series that was on Facebook a couple of years ago, but like 6 million people saw one of the shorts we
Wow.
made, and it's really funny. It's
Were
really
you
funny.
did you just wake up in the morning and you were just like, okay, these numbers keep going up. Wait a
Yes,
minute.
literally.
A
I mean, it took a
million.
couple months, and they would re-release it every once in a while, but you were like 5 million, 5.5 million,
Yeah.
5. I mean, it's incredible. Like how do they even measure it? Actually, I directed something for Nickelodeon, and the guy was like, because kids watch stuff online repeatedly, they
Mm-hmm.
are like the most visited website. They're like the top 5 in the world. And
Wow.
this Nickelodeon thing that I directed had like a billion views or something. I mean, it was like I mean, I don't know. It was like many, many millions of views. It was
And you were just
crazy.
like, I was a part of that, which is something to definitely be proud of.
Yeah,
After
yeah.
someone like yourself. Yeah, after so
Yeah,
many
it's definitely weird. I mean,
years.
it's really
It's definitely weird. It's just And now, a word from one of our sponsors. After starting my podcast, I needed to hire the pros to market the content. Are you looking for digital success? Look no further. World Boss HQ is your strategic partner. Their experts turn your vision into a digital masterpiece. From stunning websites to powerful marketing, they've got you covered. Startups or established businesses, they are your one-stop solution. Visit worldbosshq.com. That is WORLDBOSSHQ.com, and unleash your potential today. World Boss HQ Digital Marketing. Your online empire awaits. We are excited to bring you this world exclusive teaser from Bad Rabbit Pictures and Movie Pods. They are presented Age of Prophecy, a sci-fi fantasy podcast done in the style of the radio dramas of yesteryear. Coming soon to all streaming platforms. Visit www.moviepods.com or www.anoukchronicles.com for all the release dates. You won't want to miss this one. Your myths were born from our history. Let's check it out.
Life. A vile, messy sequence of events before we die. All designed for something beyond us. It has to be. Or else, what's the point? You don't know me, but I know you. I am responsible for your triumphs and miseries. I am Zira Emilzor, and to truly understand your own story, you must know mine. Your myths were born from my history.
Hi there, and welcome back to Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. So guys, just so you know, you're tuning in to Conversations with Filmmakers podcast, and we have Kate Phelan on here, and she's talking about her amazing career, but it is it's definitely weird. That was hilarious, by the way, because it can become weird, right? It's like a lot of times, and this is the reason why I wanted to do this. There's an entire crew, there's entire creatives behind the content that you actually love. And I wanted to highlight that because it could be somebody out there watching this that want to do exactly what you do, Kate.
Yeah,
you know,
it's I think what's kept me in the business through all of the, sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's like, sometimes you're tackling stuff that you don't necessarily want to tackle in terms of, sexism or how you handle yourself or how you can handle your crew. But the act of making things is so stinking fun. And it is like, I can't go too many days without making something. So it's better if I get paid for it. And so making stuff is really, I love crews. I love working with people, and making stuff is really, really addictive. It's really great.
I had a guest on that had mentioned something similar to that. And he was like, I've been in this industry for 25 years. And I said, listen, we're not going to say that we're old, okay? But he said, this industry keeps you youthful, right?
For sure.
Because you're doing something fun, it's something creative, and that's the best part. It's something that you will get up and work on and not be upset about. Even if your body's aching, if you know that you're going to be on set with your friends, people you've known for a while, and you're creating something that you actually love, you're excited to see and everything and do. Plus, like you said, the return of people viewing it.
Absolutely.
Hundreds of millions of times sometimes,
And you're like, it's just the act of it, and I found that if you can connect with that joy of what it's like to make stuff, you can bring that joy into your sets, and it can be a pretty great experience.
What would be one of your favorite projects that you worked on? We're not going to say, the absolute favorite, but just a favorite project.
Well, the Tracy Morgan one was really up there because there was a pretty big technical element that we needed to figure out how to create it. So my friend Brian at Brian Hoffman at TBS had sent me a YouTube link and had this, it was an image of a woman, but it was like a test. And so we went back and really, it took a couple of tries to figure out how to recreate it. Technically, it was a little complicated, making it this lighting effect change in the way that we wanted it to change. And it took me it was during COVID, which was kind of great because I was able to shoot tests. I shot tests with my daughter. My husband's a gaffer. We were able to do a little bit of testing at home. And so that when we came out of COVID and the job came back, we'd cracked it open. But that was really enjoyable because it did fuse both of the things I really enjoy, like interacting with Tracy, who's amazing and so generous and just an incredible person. And this technical side of how do we make this lighting move us emotionally to go on this journey with, we stay on Tracy's face and he's telling us a story. So how does lighting help move this emotional journey with him? And that's really a fusing of the two things that I really adore. I mean, since I've moved into directing, it's been interesting how when I was gaffing and shooting, a lot of my job, I felt like, was to fix problems, problem solve, be on top of things, manage, anticipate. But being a director is really different. I need to let go and be in the moment and listen and have an open heart and have a positive energy that feels very, very different. And so that's really been exciting to sort of have all these skills and be in a totally different place with it 7 years later. It's
AKA don't micromanage.
Well, yeah, but
have that
also,
freedom
have the
yeah.
freedom. And also, my job is to listen and to experience what I'm watching. And if I'm thinking about, all of the things that can go wrong, or all of the issues of every department, or all the issues of shooting, that takes me out of the experience of being present.
Yeah, and the creative process of that, of like what your vision and what you're thinking of we can possibly do with this script and everything, like you said, the narrative storytelling.
Yes, and leaving space for my collaborators to surprise me. Because if I'm thinking about other stuff, I'm not open to what they're doing. And that is like a totally different way of working, and is so exciting and so new. It's fantastic.
That was an excellent breakdown, because I know there's a lot of creatives out there that might want to even take that transition.
Yeah.
That leap into the director spot and everything. We hear about a lot of celebrities doing that after many, many years, like you had Denzel Washington doing an episode of Grey's Anatomy, and
totally.
people like didn't even notice it,
Yeah.
credits and all that, and you're just like, wait, Denzel Washington. Like the actor, but that's an amazing thing, because guys, just some insight into what happens on set. These people move like not robots, but machines. Like if you say, hey, we're moving to the next room, everybody as like an army is moving to the next room, setting things up. It's such a beautiful thing to see.
It's incredible to watch any kind of set, but also bigger sets, especially. You just move mountains. It's absolutely phenomenal to watch.
Now, an exciting message from our sponsors. When I decided to launch this podcast, I had the tools to find talent and market the show, but needed a skilled editor to bring it all to life. That's when I turned to Jacob Daly at redhawk.uk. His collaborative approach and swift revisions transformed my vision into reality. redhawk.uk, your one-stop solution for creative content services. Reach out to them. Now a word from another of our supporting sponsors, that is Realm IQ, a new AI consultancy started by film marketing veteran Kurt Doty, who has built an international team of AI mentors to help AI change management for your business. Go to www.curtdoty.co/Realm IQ. Smart people for smart adoption, creating smart worlds. Realm IQ. Book your AI workshop today. Adopt or perish. Hi there, and welcome back to Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. By the way, Conversations with Filmmakers podcast, we're here with Kate, and she's really breaking things down for us. But another amazing thing is like when you realize all these people that do that, and I said it on another episode, is like everybody usually gets up at the end of the movie, right? Soon as the credits start rolling.
Yeah.
But you don't realize all of those are names of crew, of like people that worked on this project to bring it forth. So when you watch a Marvel film and it's like 8 minutes, 10 minutes of credits, it's like it could be hundreds of people that
my family stays in the movie seats. My kids now don't even get up. They know that.
Exactly. You're like giving them the evil eye or whatever.
They took it up. We
Yeah,
haven't seen the
what
grips
are you
yet.
doing?
Yeah. What are you
These are the
doing? We
works.
haven't even seen the special effects people. Sit down.
We haven't even seen the special effects people. That is hilarious.
It's
But
true.
that is another reason why we created this, right? Is to
Yeah,
really try
for
and
sure.
put that spotlight and explain those positions, you know?
Yeah.
Could you tell us some films or TV shows that have inspired you just from watching it?
Well, it's funny. I think, well, I'll tell you this. So when I started, I'll just say my favorite movie, right? My favorite movie was, for many years, was The French Connection.
The
So
French.
it's like a French Connection. It's a like caper, New York City. The color in that movie is exquisite. There's all these great car chases. And when I was gaffing, I gaffed this movie called Girl Fight. The cameraman and I were great friends, Patrick Cady. We're still friends, and I just would think about that movie, how everything kind of coalesces and fits into this singular piece of work that I found like so exciting. And then about maybe 10 years ago, I went back and I looked at my list of movies, all the movies that I loved.
Yes.
There was not a single female protagonist in any of those movies. And I thought, what do I love about these movies? Like, what is it? What am I? Do I like them because I'm connecting with them? Do I like them because of the way they look? Do I like them because I'm supposed to like them? And it was really interesting because I went back and I completely revised my list. And French Connection's still on there, but it was really interesting to sort of interrogate why I liked the films, what was it about it, and how do I watch films, like what moves me, and I would say my list has a lot more female filmmakers on it now.
Which is really excellent because I mean, I'm a screenwriter, you know, and I find myself skewing to female leads all the time.
Yeah, all
And
the
it's
time.
like, I
female
didn't even
directors.
realize. Yeah, I didn't even realize that, you know, it's just, I guess it was like you said, like thinking to myself, like, why can't a woman do this? Or what is, you know, she can lead this or whatever the case, you know, in the few films that I did see. Like, you know, Demi Moore in that one where she was like military.
G.I. Jane, man. I know
G.I.
that movie.
Jane,
Yeah, totally.
Long Kiss Goodnight is like, those are on my radar. I love kick-ass, blow shit up. Like, you know, I just think of all of those. You know, when I first saw Silence of the Lambs, you know, it was just like, oh.
I mean, Jonathan Demme is off the hook. That guy's amazing.
Yeah, but it was just like, oh, what is this? And I've never seen a reflection. I mean, of course, I'm a Black woman, right? But I've never seen a reflection of being a woman on screen.
Yeah. Yep.
That large, that big of a budget, you know, and it just excited me. Right?
Yeah, me too. And I had the same experience with directors. You know, Rebecca Miller. She's made a bunch of movies. She's not made a bad one yet. Like, all those movies are great, and I walk out of every one with so much to think about. Sarah Polley, Karin Kusama. I worked on her first movie. It was incredible. She's probably the best director I've ever met. And as these, you know, as I see more women directing, there's just, the field just keeps growing. And I think like it's been really interesting to see how my perspective has changed too. And the perspective of most people I work with, you know, that it's not a fluke that these female directors make really interesting work. It's not a surprise. Sort of, there's a lot to say, and the conversation has only been from a few people so far. You know, it's 100
and
years
another
of filmmaking,
thing,
but, you know,
another thing that I find, Kate, is that it's not about just, oh, we got to make those dramas or the emotional films. Think outside of that box as well.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
well, there's a lot of different kinds of, there's
a lot of
million stories to tell. So
it's a million
it doesn't need to be, you know, it doesn't need to be anything. It can be whatever. And it's very
Absolutely.
refreshing to see all those different perspectives and all those different points of view
Mm-hmm.
that I've really missed. I didn't know I missed them until I saw them and thought, why have I never seen this before? Like, you know, like, it's just like, wait a minute. Why, like, why are all the cop shows not told from the point of view of a female police officer? Like, really, from what that's really like.
What is the one they just canceled with Angela Bassett? And that one,
oh yeah,
that was an amazing one.
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to watch it. First of all, I'm strictly streaming, you guys. I unplugged. I think soon. I probably had the Roku, the first round, version 1 of the Roku. That's right, because I'm just like, it's no longer watch TV live. It was like on demand stuff. Like I don't have time to run home like I did when like episodes of Martin was coming on or something like that. It's like, or in Living Color. That was my show. I love In Living Color. All of those people. So you've just tuned into an episode of Conversations with Filmmakers podcast. We'd like to thank our guests for joining us and sharing their knowledge. This has been a production of Vonti Pictures, hosted by me, Vonti McCrae, a screenwriter and producer. We'd also like to thank Bad Rabbit Pictures for the animated content and creator of upcoming podcast Age of Prophecy, along with our sponsor, redhawk.uk, with all episodes being edited by Jacob Daly, director, producer, and a man of many talents. Come back next week as this saga continues for the Conversations with Filmmakers podcast.